Hello, everybody. Oh my word, I just bumped into my drafting table with my knee and knocked over my microphone. That's a great start. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. All right, so I'm going to be drawing chapter 23, page 14 of Age of Night. I've got my panel borders all laid out here already. I've got the one perspective grid for this page already sketched in, and I've got my thumbnails right off to the side for me to reference of what I'm drawing. I also just rearranged my desk. I'm still in this phase of trying to get my studio set up now that I've reclaimed it from being like the family room area, to figure out the best way to optimize it. I haven't quite figured out what I want to do there yet. I keep moving stuff around. All right, so we're going to start roughing in this panel. Already got my grid here. Got a arched doorway here. That's a really weird sloppy arch. Kind of thick walls. There's also a window right here. There should be another one. Where's that top of that? Following this line across, there's a top. And following the grid across, there's the bottom. So they're the same size. All right, and we've got an important prop hanging out here. It's right on the horizon line. I'm going to have to fudge it. So since this ended up right on the horizon line, if it were above the horizon line, I should be seeing the inside of the bell from the bottom. If it were below the horizon line, I should be seeing the outside of the bell. I want it right there, and I want to see the inside, so I'm just going to kind of cheat a little. It's very close to the horizon line. I don't think it's... And I'm going to leave it at a very shallow kind of, you can look inside it. I don't think that's going to be enough of a cheat to really mess things up. All right, we've got a bell and a rope hanging there. Now we've got our figure coming in. So we've got this figure kind of lunging forward. Kind of lunging in through this doorway. I'm not sure what his foot is doing there. That's why it's just a blob right now. Blob foot. Other foot's back here. Probably not even going to see it. Other arm kind of thrown back for balance as he's running. His head seems kind of small. It's probably actually correct proportionally, but it just looks small in this pose. We might give that a little bit of adjustment later. This figure's also wearing some flowy kind of robes, so we're gonna knock in some of those shapes. And let's see, I drew some very vague sorts of shapes in the background here on my thumbnails, so I'm gonna scoot that down a little. This figure can be hunched a little too. Got some other figures in the background here. All right. Oh yeah, there should be stuff inside this building. It shouldn't just be totally blank except for this figure crashing through the door. Oh, someone says hello. Hello! Thanks for coming and hanging out with me on the stream. Sorry it takes me a minute to respond sometimes because I've got my head down drawing. All right. So now this is kind of a different layout. I've got a borderless panel. Ooh. Well, kind of two, technically. So we've got the hand. Pulling on that rope. All right, so this you won't see. That's behind the bell. Yes, this character has reached through and has gotten to ring the bell, which is good. Oh, what's going on? Awesome. Yes, I like watching other people work on stuff too. It's a lot of fun. All right, so on this panel down here, I gotta scoop this up so you guys can see it. I didn't bother doing a perspective grid on this one because it's just one little like corner of the building. It didn't seem that necessary, but every time I don't have one, I'm like, oh, what do I do with this line? I don't even know. Gotta adjust this a little bit. It's not quite where I wanted it. Push that down a little bit. It seem a little bit more relaxed, a little less tense. Staff, and we've got the moon right behind it. All right, major blobs of things in that panel. All right, now on to the bottom tier. Hopefully this doesn't mess up my my camera or my microphone too much. I really need a better setup. You would probably like cry if you saw how this was all attached to my desk right now, or only semi-attached to my desk. All right, we've got a very small little speech bubble on this one, so just knock in that shape first so that I don't forget later. Basically just this guy's terrified face. Might have to work on that expression of terror. That looks more like mild confusion. So that's going to need a second pass, but his body takes up that space, basically. I will loop back around. In this one, we've got an extreme close-up of like part of somebody's face. The thing that I want kind of centered in the frame is their, which actually that would be a good idea. Where's the center of the frame? I want their smile centered there. Come here, big eraser. Save me from myself. So we're going to have grin centered. Nose, chin. Part of this, the edge of this mask that they're wearing. There we go. There we go. Much better. Ooh, I'm going to have to watch out for tangents between these two panels. That's a dicey proposition right there. Oh, I see there's another comment. What have we got? Do you write full scripts or just the dialogue? Okay, so I do write a full script. It's not formatted in like your traditional comic scripting format because I'm just writing it for myself. So I don't really do like panel direction or anything. This is basically what it looks like. It's just a very simple breakdown, and then I put notes on it of like, you know, which as I'm going through and laying out, doing this process of laying out the panels, then I go through and I make notes on my script of where the dialogue is going to go, like which panel it's going to go in, which I do figure out on the actual layouts. Like I actually make sure that my word balloons are worked into layouts so that I have room for them. So yeah, I'll make little notes between the layouts and the script to make them work together so that when I get to this stage, penciling, I basically have my plan fully in place and I just need to execute it. That's the process. Although I will say that I do occasionally revise my dialogue as I'm going, because I will get to a panel and realize that there's no way in hell that what I want them to say is going to fit on that panel. It's just not going to happen. And then I'm like, well, guess I'm going to have to come up with a more concise way for them to get this point across. So that will happen sometimes. But thankfully, I have enough experience writing comic scripts and laying them out at this point that that doesn't happen as much as it used to. It used to be a much bigger problem for me. Now I manage to not do it too frequently. Oh, this panel's tricky. There's some interesting... This last panel on this page is tricky. There's some interesting interaction between the figures here. See if I manage to get it in there without erasing it too many times. So got like two different... Oh, my husband is delivering mail to my studio. Yeah, you can just put it down over there. What is it? Just on the table. Yes, that's fine. Thank you. Thank you. Don't you dare open that one. I want to open it. I'm excited. Look, I don't get that much excitement these days. I have a special package coming. I want to be the one to open it. I'm very excited about that. I will probably tweet relentlessly about that package that just showed up. I am super duper excited about it. You will see what that is about. All right, but anyway, what I was doing... Oh, I gotta get that down just a little bit. Yeah, that's better. Where this figure is clearly about to completely overtake this figure, just has not completely yet. It's kind of looming over it, is the idea. I feel like I need to pull that down a little bit so it's a little more threatening. Because right now there's just still too much space. He doesn't look as threatening right now. All right, too bad. It came out pretty nice, so let's try to do that again. Further down. Start with the torso so that I get that. Hips. Okay, yeah, I'm liking that better. He looks a little bit more like he's actually encroaching on this figure's space, like this is actually a threat now. There we go. I like that a lot better. That's a lot better. Movement there with those dreadlocks. All right, so now I've got everything roughed in. It's been about 20 minutes. Now we can start refining some of these panels, making them a little more finished. I'll try to keep my big fat head out of the shop. I think it needs to be quite so long because then it looks too short in this next panel if it's quite that long in this panel. So we'll shorten that up a little bit. It's still a little wonky, but that's okay. I can always adjust that when I get to the inking stage. I don't need to make myself too nuts about getting the line perfectly straight right now. Darkness. Darkness outside. That's what's out there. Yeah, no. Separate those fingers. You look like a weird alien that way, dude. That's better? Question mark? I'm not sure how better that really is. The hands are a struggle today. clean up some of this underdrawing as I go so that I don't get confused about what I'm doing here. All right, we're gonna clean up. There's a lot of little underdrawing scribbles going on this guy's face. These guards and their weird little hats with their little flaps, little hat capes. I'm sure there's an actual term for a hat cape, but I don't know what it is. I know an awful lot of obscure clothing words, but whatever you call a little hat cape, not one of them. Or rather, I probably do, and someone's going to tell me what it is, and I'm going to be like, oh yeah, duh. I should have known that. Trying to get it to look convincingly like he's leaning forward and not just that he has no torso. That's always a trick. That can always be a little bit tricky. Clean some of this up. I don't know if you guys can hear the chicks today. My little studio roommates right now, a bunch of bantam chicks. They're about double the size as when I first got them. And they're about 3 weeks old now. And I'm actually closer to them, but the microphone isn't facing them. So I don't know if you can really hear them as well this time. All right, let's figure out this dreadful foot situation down here. All right, there's his heel. So ankle, heel, toes, he's just kind of barely skirting the edge of this door frame here. There's toes, instep. Yeah, it's foreshortened. It's a little goofy. Let me clean that up a little bit, but at least it more or less looks like a foot now. As he comes running in. All right. There we go. All right, so now he's pretty convincingly charging on in there, trying to ring that bell. Don't need that line anymore. That line is going all the way wonky. Let's try that again. Shadow underneath him as he's running in. So this little building that this figure is running into is a guardhouse. So this is going to just be like a chest of supplies, probably full of like spare armor and random small weapons and lamp oil and that sort of thing. Metal corner reinforcements on this trunk. There we go. There we go. All right, and we've got to do this other window. Okay, there's that window. Oh, that's a little, that came out a little. Ah, that's so funny. It looks way worse even on the camera than it does in person. So I just looked over at the screen and it looks horrible. That was so wonky. Okay, let's try to straighten out a little bit. What is happening here? Okay, I guess that's better. Yeah, that's better. Less wonky than it was, at least. I need to sharpen my pencil. All right, because we've got this other figure out here. All right, there's that figure. I'm not going too crazy on getting little details into them because they're going to be in the background there. Not super easy to see. So, oh my, there are things going on outside, which is why this guard is running for the alarm. Oh, one of the chickens is pecking at the box. It sounds like someone knocking. It's a chicken pecking at a box. That is what is happening. Silly birds. Silly birds. Okay, there's that first panel done. So now we're going to move on to this open panel. We've got this great big bell. What time is it? We're 40 minutes in. Okay. Making good time. I'm not even sure if I have. I was just thinking that, this might be easier with an ellipse template, but I don't even know if I have an ellipse template at that particular angle that big. Like I have some pretty good sized 45-degree angles, but that looks more like a 25. I don't think I have any that big, that narrow. So I guess I'm just going to have to do the best I can freehand and with my French curve when it comes time to ink. All right, there's that. Where's my eraser? It's behind my ear. Good job. Let's see. There's a comment. full pencils with it's actually not non-repo blue because there's no such thing as non-repo blue anymore because scanners are too good. I'm trying to find a full size one. Scanners are too good for non-repo blue anymore. They still pick it up. So, and also non-repo blue really, really hurts my eyes to look at. It just freaking kills me. So what I actually use is the Prismacolor Col-Erase Layout Blue, the 20044. It's a lot darker than a non-repo blue, so it's a lot easier to see. And what you can do then is that once I ink on top of this, which you can see, I've got a finished page over here. You can see I ink right on top of it. You can see a little bit of the blue coming through, especially in parts that are not inked quite as heavily, like around the figures here. But then once you scan it in, you can just pull all those colors out in Photoshop and just leave the black and white. So it still works the same way, like functionally, it's still the same thing as using a non-repo blue. Your scanner will pick it up, but it's still easy to remove from the final image. And it doesn't completely wreck your eyes. And this stuff is also really nice. Like it's got a nice texture to it when you're drawing with it. Whereas I've always found every non-repo blue I've ever worked with, I always found really waxy and really gross. And I didn't like the texture of it. This is really easy to ink over. It's really easy to draw with. It erases pretty nicely. So all around a lot better choice. And you can see I do the layout grid in, well, these ones are really sad and small at this point, but also Col-Erase pencils. Just I use like a red and a pink so that I can see the slight difference between the two sets of lines and don't get confused. And Col-Erase the Prismacolor makes the Col-Erase pencils in lots of different colors. The blue I just find easiest to work with and look at. It's just what I'm used to, really. So yeah, that's that, because I find trying to fully erase gray pencil on something that's going to be black and white really difficult, and that's entirely a me problem. That's me just being too heavy-handed, as you can see with how heavy-handed some of this drawing is. That's just me being too heavy-handed when I'm finally committing to a line that causes that problem. But by using a colored line, it's just not even an issue. So there's the clapper and the bell. Yeah, because I do also, I will scan in these pencils and save them, partially so that my Patreon patrons can get a chance to see them. Because that's one of the perks of the $2 a month or more patrons. But also just in case, because I do ink directly on these boards, just in case I completely, that hand is not lined up with that rope anymore. Just in case I completely screw up or like spill a bottle of ink on the pencils or something, I still have a copy of them, so I can still just like recover. I don't feel the need to do it. Like I know some people who even work mostly traditionally, like scan their pencils and then print them off on Bristol in Blue Line and then ink over them that way. And that just seems excessive to me, I guess. There, that's a much better skeleton of a hand there. Yeah, I know a lot of people, the comment was that they haven't drawn traditional pages for a bit. I know a lot of people have moved to exclusively digital, and I just could never get into it. Part of it is I'm really photosensitive. It's the same reason like the non-repo blue really bothers my eyes, is staring at screens for an excessive amount of time really bothers my eyes. So I don't do digital art as much as possible, basically. I still do everything traditionally, and I just enjoy it. I like the way that it feels. I like knowing that these pages exist, that there's an artifact related to my artwork. So not that that's like a precursor for artwork to be artwork, just that I like it that way. But I know lots and lots of people who work exclusively digitally, like who produce their comics start to finish in digital. I think part of the problem too is I'm just not disciplined enough. If I'm on the computer, then I'm like screwing around. I'm like, oh, I'm on the computer. I guess I'll just watch some YouTube videos. I'm gonna check Facebook. I'm gonna look up a recipe for something I'm not gonna cook ever. This. I'm at my drawing table. I'm like, nope. I have to look at this piece of paper in front of my face. Again, it's a me problem, not a problem inherent with digital tools. Entirely a me problem. There's the end of that rope. I see there's another comment. I will get to you momentarily. I just trying to finish this hand. Okay, so that's the... Do some kind of motion lines. There will definitely also be great big sound effects thrown in there. Yeah. The comment was that they still do, doodles and roughs and stuff in a sketchbook. And yeah, I certainly can't imagine trying to do like layouts in a sketchbook. Anything other than like a sketchbook. I can't imagine trying to do layouts digitally. It just would feel so weird. It would just feel so very strange. All right, onto this middle tier. These guards in their floppy hats. This guy's hand here. Right, and there's the top of that doorway from earlier. Because this is like looking up at this figure on the roof. Clean up some of that sketchiness there. What are we at? Oh my goodness, we're already at 52 minutes. Further along than I thought. need to sharpen that slightly. Work on that. The scary face mask we've got going on here. Five? No. No. 4. Scary growling cat face mask. All right. This crazy face mask. That looks silly. Let's try that again. There we go. That's looking better. Oh, cool. Thank you for hanging out for whatever time you were able to. The stream is actually almost over. Let's see. We're at, almost 56 minutes. So while I work on this a little bit more, let me do the things that I need to do where I tell you about the things. So this that I'm working on is Age of Night, chapter 23, page 14. You can read, this is my webcomic. It updates every week on Wednesday. There's a new comic page. You can read it at ageofnight.com. That's ageofnight.com. All the web pages are free. There's 23 and counting chapters on there, so go for it. Actually, technically more than that, because there's like little half chapters in between some of them. So there's a lot. There's a lot of comics there for you. You can find me on Twitter at Age of Night. You can find me on Instagram at Amanda Call Art. If you like watching these live streams, I try to do these about once a week. It's been on Saturday the last couple of weeks just because while we're having to homeschool the kids, it's just freaking crazy during the week. So it's just a little easier to try to fit this in on the weekend. So that's how that goes. But since I don't have a super duper set schedule, the best way to find out when I'm going to be doing these is to subscribe to this YouTube channel and hit the little bell notification thingy so that your desktop or device or whatever it is that you have YouTube primarily set up on will ping you when I go live so that you don't miss them. But they will also always be on the channel to watch later. But it's cool if you get to hang out and ask me questions and chit chat. What else? Oh, yes. And also I have a Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Age of Night, just like the comic. So if you want to help support me as I make these comics, every patron gets to see the webcomics a week early. So whatever page we're on the website, the patrons are always a week ahead of that. $2 and more a month patrons get to see pencils. Everybody gets free comics, other cool behind the scenes stuff, process videos, sketches, that sort of thing. Other comics projects that I work on throughout the year, you get copies of those or get to watch them in development. So that's pretty fun too. And I really appreciate it if you decide you want to. That really helps me out. Especially because normally I would also be telling you about my upcoming convention schedule, but my upcoming convention schedule is never. I think I think the first convention I actually have for sure scheduled at this point, because I just got an email about another one canceling. I think the first convention that I actually have on the books at this point is in August, which is deeply disappointing, but that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Such is life right now. Hopefully, I will get to see some of you all sometime again in person. I hope. All right, so we're just about at an hour. In that time, we went from a page with just panel borders on it to having the whole thing roughed in, and 2.5. It's more than a half. Completely done being drawn. So thank you all for hanging out with me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.